Hello everybody, my name is Luke Marr, and this is Hotla Mode, and today on Hotla Mode we are going to be analyzing all of Beyonce's looks from her weekend 1 and weekend 2 of Coachella. I mean, it was pretty amazing. I was high-key shook as fuck about the whole experience. It was wonderful, and there's not much else for me to say. Before we get into the actual video though, if you guys are looking for a channel that talks about fashion in the most fun, sassy, bitchy, analytical way, this is it, so you can go down below, hit the subscribe button. Also turn on my post notifications, like what do you have to lose? Absolutely nothing. Also, if you guys like these kinds of celebrity fashion analyses, you can definitely give this video a like, and also if you guys want to see more from me, you can follow me on Instagram at HotlaMode. But now let's get into the actual video. So we're gonna start with weekend 1 and go from there. The first weekend of Coachella was renamed Beychella due to Beyonce's insane and historic performance. Today's video is going to dissect each of her custom Balmain looks, which had amazing references revolving around black culture. B's reference mixing is on the same level as John Galliano to me. And yes, I know he is problematic as fuck, and you're probably going to hate me for saying that, but to me it's the highest form of a compliment. John's work is so rich with influences to dissect and analyze, and Beyonce's being able to do the same in terms of performance and clothing is even more amazing. First, let's discuss how the looks came together. B's stylist, Marni Setafonti, who is iconic in her own right because she styled the Lemonade film, which, might I add, was robbed for an Oscar nomination. Excuse me. Whether it was the yellow Roberto Cavalli dress from Hold Up, the off-the-shoulder Hood by Air fur jacket from Don't Hurt Yourself, or every single look from Formation, we should all be thanking Marni. I mean, the custom Gucci looks for her dancers, the regular Gucci looks for Beyonce, the full denim moment that still 2 years later has me shook, and the Victorian jumpsuit with Chanel pearls are just a few of the iconic moments that Marni styled. In an interview with Vogue, Balmain designer Olivier Rousteing described how Marni approached him after the fall 2018 show and wanted him to create custom pieces for the performance. Interestingly enough, Beyoncé had to postpone her headlining performance due to her pregnancy. I wonder if Marni still would have chosen Balmain as the brand for the performance. Rousteing said, "Marni told me that the shows were all about survivors, and that B was looking for something in a military style." He also said, "Our silhouettes and sort of Mad Max futuristic take on military looks for fall were a perfect fit. Most people, you could fool with that, but not this bitch. I mean, if you call 3 pairs of distressed jeans military, I'm going to call you an idiot." The fall 2018 collection seemed to have referenced space, holograms, and metallics for the first part of the show, and slid into the 80s silhouettes and tulle for the rest of it. If I had to guess, I would assume B looked to Balmain and Olivier in the support of the idea of black excellence. While this is just a theory I have, I'm quite content with the support for Olivier. I just don't like the bullshit and fodder that goes into those types of fashion articles, and especially when the quotes Olivier gave don't add up in the slightest. I would prefer honesty from the interviews about why she chose Olivier. B's performances are unapologetically black, so why can't she have chosen him based on the fact that he is an amazing black designer? This is a really interesting example of how fashion media still hasn't changed to be in tune with how the world works today. So on top of B's looks, Olivier also custom made over 200 dancers' costumes, which were featured throughout the performance. The looks of her backup dancers and musicians were based on historically black colleges and universities' marching band and dance team costumes, and it was nice to see them get a high fashion makeover. Balmain also designed the costumes for Kelly Rowland and Michelle Williams of Destiny's Child, and B's sister Solange's costume as well. Seeing how the Balmain Fall 2018 show took place on March 2nd of 2018, and B's first Coachella performance was on the 14th of April of 2018, I have to give Olivier so much credit for turning it all out. And Marni wasn't the only person Olivier had to answer to, apparently. Beyonce was very involved in the costuming for the performances. Olivier said in the Vogue article that she was a perfectionist, but in the most awe-inspiring way. Before we start discussing the looks, there were some main themes that Beyonce explored throughout the performance. The first was the idea of African Americans looking to ancient Egypt for inspiration. Many rappers in the past have looked to the home of the Nile for strength, and with one of Beyonce's looks, she did the very same. There was also a large reference to historically black colleges and universities. This is something that is a big part of Beyonce's hometown life back in Texas. And finally, there is a bit of a throwback to some of her hit songs throughout the years as well. But let's get into discussing the looks. The first was the entrance look of Weekend 1. Shrouded in a jewel-encrusted black cape, Beyoncé stormed the stage. The metallic embroidery is an Olivier at Balmain special, and the gigantic jewels that creeped up her neck were insanely amazing. The look was a reference to Nefertiti, the queen of Egypt and the wife of the pharaoh Akhenaten. They changed Egypt during their reign by creating a new religion, promoting Egyptian artwork, and ruling during one of the most financially powerful times in Egyptian history. Remind you a little bit of B and J? A bust of Nefertiti is also one of the most iconic ancient Egyptian relics. The headpiece B wears is in the style and shape of the iconic Nefertiti bust, and it also has a black plume feather coming out of the front referencing marching band uniforms. The cape and black bodysuit she wore seem to reference back to the fall 2017 Balmain show. It relied heavily on silver and gold embellishments and featured a multitude of capes in the same style as the one that Beyoncé wore. The back of the cape was decked out in a full embroidered Nefertiti, and it's amazing. The boots were directly from the Balmain Spring 2018 collection, but B's were outfitted with studs. The final part of the look was the cane that she carried as she walked. I said in my roast that it was a pimp cane because of the way she walked on it, and the golden cobra head handle fueled my theory. Many people commented that it was not a pimp cane, but instead was a mace that the leaders of marching bands use in order to lead the band. This also makes sense, and I think it's a perfect demonstration of Beyoncé's ability to weave together references throughout her performances. I'm quite firm on my stance that it is a pimp cane because Beyoncé has no reservation taking male-owned cultural pieces, examples being pimps, that are usually thought to be men, and using them as metaphors for her power and status. Many female artists do this, like Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, and I think the 3-minute dance montage of Beyoncé saying, "Suck on my balls" during the performance helps build my case. The second look is the most memorable from the performance and probably will go down in history. B emerged in a yellow silk sweatshirt, blue denim jean shorts, and iridescent fringe boots. The sweatshirt is in a luxurious silk and is meant to mirror a collegiate-style team sweatshirt. It's decked out in Balmain glitter embroidery. The logo on the front reads BDK, with Coachella written on some of the letters. And it also has a panther roaring on top of the letters. The BDK stands for Beta Delta Kappa, a fictitious sorority that Beyoncé developed. I also think it takes from her full name, Beyoncé Knowles. It is a reference back to some of the first African-American fraternity organizations. Delta is a commonly used symbol in what fraternities and sororities call Greek life. The panther that is roaring about the Greek letters is a reference to Beyoncé's admiration for the Black Panther Party, an African-American political and social group dedicated to helping African Americans who were discriminated against and killed by American politics, government officials, and police officers. Beyoncé's NFL performance, where she performed Formation in a full black leather jumpsuit with black beret, was one of the first times she conjured the images of Black Panther pride, and was extremely controversial in American media. But luckily, she doesn't care and has continued to serve looks in full Panther regalia. On the right sleeve of the sweatshirt is 3 arrows pointing downward with Coachella written across them as well. The 3 arrows are actually references to the military, and 3 arrows means a sergeant. Come through, Sergeant Sasha Fierce. She also wears blue denim shorts, which is a staple of American music festivals. But Beyoncé has also worn denim shorts many times throughout her music videos, a few being Crazy in Love and Formation. The boots she wears are iridescent and definitely influenced Balmain's fall 2018 show. But the fringe is also something that Beyoncé loves and has worn many times throughout concerts and music videos. Then Beyoncé's third look was extremely reminiscent of Balmain's fall 2018 show. This is probably the most mysterious look from the performance because it's very difficult to see any references. The black latex bodysuit and knee-high garter boots and puffer coat were all in the same fabric as some of the pieces from the show. The fabric, which is a black leather, shines in iridescence when it moves, and who better to show off that than Beyoncé? I personally think that this is really an advertising look for Balmain. The brand has to get something out of making these pieces for Beyoncé. A look that is simple like this could be a big draw for consumers. It also helps to push Balmain as a brand of big celebrities, with the Kardashians and Hadids being friends of Olivier and the brand. Beyoncé is very comfortable in a bodysuit, and she has also worn thigh highs with garters in her Partition video. The puffer coat is very much in fashion currently, and is another great way to show Balmain as not just a high fashion brand, but a brand that understands trends and knows how to sell to the mass market. The fourth look was very similar to the third in that it kept the boots and garter, but the top Beyoncé changed into was a black black fishnet shirt brought us onto the highway back into reference land. Instead of a normal style of fishnet though, the top was made in cuts in the shape of a honeycomb. I love a slight Beehive reference. Bee again used imagery in the Balmain embellishments to show her support for movements she believes in. The four-way collegiate shield has so many different references to Bee and black culture. The first was Nefertiti, who we've already discussed, and another Black Panther, which we have already also discussed. There was also a bee, a shout out to Beyonce's fans. It proves that she actually really respects her fans and appreciates them. The fourth symbol is a black fist raised, which is a reference to the silent protests that African Americans have been having from the 1960s to now. The black fist in particular is tied to the protest by two American athletes, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, when they held their fists up after winning the gold and bronze medals during the 1968 Summer Olympics, during the duration of the American national anthem. Beyoncé continues to support protests and movements made by African Americans in order to reach real equality and justice within the country. Above the four-way shield was a triangle filled with an eye of Ra. Bee is constantly accused of being part of the Illuminati, and even addressed the ridiculous conspiracy in her song Formation. The Illuminati symbol is an eye inside of a pyramid, and I believe Beyoncé used the famous symbol of the Eye of Ra, which is an Egyptian iconography, in order to poke fun at the conspiracy theory. The final look was Beyoncé in a full glitter camouflage look. Beyoncé was joined by the two other members of her former girl group, Destiny's Child, Kelly Rowland and Michelle Williams. Together they sang one of their most famous songs, Survivor, and one part of the music video depicts the three women wearing short and skin-bearing camouflage outfits. The embellished camouflage harkened back to the Survivor music video while still keeping Olivier's shiny flair. Overall, a simple but sweet throwback to a different time in Beyoncé's career, and it really shows how far she's come from being a member of a girl group in the 90s to being the first black woman to headline Coachella as a solo act. Now let's talk about the second weekend's looks. The second weekend of Coachella is notoriously much more chill than the first, but Beyoncé did not let that stop her from changing up the color scheme of her looks for the second weekend. Unfortunately, I was not able to watch the second weekend's performances. Thanks, Coachella, but I will discuss what I can. Beyoncé started the performance with a similar caped look from the first weekend, but it was made in a beautiful embellished silver. It had the same Nefertiti headpiece in silver, as well as a silver cape in the style of the Fall 2017 Balmain show. The cape was iridescent, following the Fall 2018 Balmain show style, and the silver and nude caged bodysuit was covered by a gigantic silver necklace that swung from her neck. The cape had the same Nefertiti bust embroidered on the back, but in a silver with a red headpiece. I was a little shook by it, I'm not gonna lie. The boots were similar to the black and gold Nefertiti look. They kept the studs, but instead of the transparent fabric, they used a silver iridescent leather. The pink hoodie look was extremely similar to the first. It essentially just changed the color scheme. The look from the first weekend was in a vibrant yellow, whilst the second weekend look just changed the sweatshirt color to an electric pink. The panther and Greek letter patch stayed the same, as well as the three arrows with Coachella written on them. She was also constant in the denim shorts and iridescent fringe boots. Beyoncé's third look for the second weekend was also extremely similar to the third from the first weekend. Both of the third looks from the weekends were extremely similar. This seemed to be another advertising look for Balmain. Some websites reported that the look was different, but only in a minute way. Apparently, the silhouette was slimmer than the first, but unfortunately I couldn't tell from the photos online. The fourth look of the second weekend was vastly different than the fourth look of the first. It was a pink sweater dress that hit at Bee's thighs. It was sequined and had the same elastic as the sweatshirts at both the end of the sleeves and the hemline. She stayed in the same iridescent black boots, but lost the garters, and the four-way shield depicting the same four symbols, the raised fist, the Black Panther, the bee, and the bust of Nefertiti. The final look that Bee wore was a full glitter silver bodysuit. It was a part of the Destiny's Child performance and was a reference to the Survivor album's cover. Bee's bodysuit had a sharp 80 shoulder, a Balmain signature, with a gorgeous silver tie that wrapped and dangled off the front of the bodysuit. The artwork showed a black strappy shoe being worn by the trio, but I can't confirm that as I haven't been able to see photos of the full looks. Kelly Rowland wore a shirt dress in the same fabric that hit at her thighs. It was sleek and sexy, but had a bit of a masculine feel to it as well. Michelle Williams had a shirt and long pants in the same fabric as well, and it was decked out with an iridescent belt. These looks were probably the most polished, and actually featured both Destiny's Child's History with a Balmain edge. Overall, Beyoncé destroyed Coachella. The looks were impeccable, for the most part, and really hit the nail on the head. They were referential, they had a political stance, and they really set a precedent for the performance looks. Also, shout out to Olivier at Balmain for making it work, in such a short amount of time, may I add. So Queen Bee, I thank you for all you give us every single day. Guys, in the comments below, please let me know what was your favorite look from all of Beyoncé's Coachella performances. Please let me know also if you like these kinds of videos. They're pretty fun. I have a good time doing them. So thank you again for watching. I will see you guys on the next video, and TTYL.